Over to you, Mr. CK.
Hi, Sabrina.
Hello, hi.
Can you hear me well? Yes? Fantastic.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you very much for considering me worthy to have to be part of this conversation. Really excited to join, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my good friend Bart for always being available for the ecosystem and for conversations where he's invited. We really appreciate you taking time off, and of course to appreciate the 36 plus people who are on the call for joining into the conversation and trying to expand the conversation about what's possible. My name is CK Japheth. I lead the team at Innovation Village and Motive, and our mission is to live up to the tag that Uganda is indeed the most entrepreneurial country in the world, and we want to be responsible for building the ecosystem that those entrepreneurs that everybody's talking to will be. A big push is really that there's a lot of capacity building going on in the ecosystem, but the stage at which a lot of the entrepreneurs have reached is beyond just capacity building. That's why you'll find us doing things around policy, whether that's the Startup Act. You'll find us engaging corporates, telling them the young people, the entrepreneurs we work with, do not want corporate social responsibility. They want what we call corporate entrepreneurship responsibility, because if you're running a big bank, a telco, the industry has given you so much, it pays for you to sustainably give it back and partner with businesses in your sector sustainably. You'll find us working with government, trying to, expand the boundary of what's possible in terms of the support framework. So this is a lot of in the kitchen type of work that most people don't see, but it's what is forming what I like to call my 26-hour day job. And of course, for this particular conversation, for the future of work, is something I'm really passionate about. Also because my own background is in talent. I used to lead talent at Umeme, and my job was, getting people into the best places in the organization, giving jobs, helping people build their careers. So if for nothing else, I really I'm into talent. So really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are excited and, glad and privileged to have you on the call. So I know people are already excited about the topic that we selected and the theme, but before we get deeper into it, I would like Bart and CK to help me clear some stereotypes that people have when it comes to, gig economy and freelancing. Most people usually think, the gig economy is just for hustlers. It's just for, these guys who have probably failed and they are just there trying to, find like purpose and meaning, and still they are lost. So now that we are having a conversation that brings together different, stakeholders, that brings together different contributors to, the future of work, I would like you to share with the audience that we have what your understanding of the gig economy is. To you, and how do you see the future of work? How do you see different individuals, companies, organizations, agencies also take part in the future of work that we are trying to build? I'll start with Bart, and then after Bart, CK, you can go right after him. Over to you, Bart.
Yeah, you were talking from an African, Ugandan perspective, huh? But I think it's worldwide that the gig economy has for a long time been untapped, and now we are seeing the benefits of it. So I think it's something that has a lot of potential, and it's not about hustling, not at all. I think it's part of the future of work, and it allows for more flexibility and more like CK said, looking for the talents at the right place at the right time. So I think it is underestimated, untapped, but it has a lot of potential.
Thank you very much. Over to you, CK.
I think for me, and that's why we're trying to understand what we can do to support, the gig economy better. And I'll give you some statistics about why it's important, and then that, I guess, can help people conclude and say, is it, for people who are surviving, or is it the future of work, and how we can better support that. And a lot of what has inspired our work is, if you look at what's happening globally, and what we currently know is that by 2050, me and Bart, I don't know if we'll be here, but by 2050, 1 in 4 humans will be African, and that is going to make the continent one of the most important growth markets. That by the end of the century, 1 in 4 people will be, African. That the population of Africa is going to jump from 1.2 billion to about 4 billion people. And then, of course, what we currently know also is Africa is also emerging as the world's youngest continent. And we boast 6 out of the 10 fastest growing economies that the global community is taking notice. And people are taking notice of this growth. Now, looking at it from that context, and also by the fact, like I say, that by 2050, the working age population will be expanding in sub-Saharan Africa, but contracting in the world, just because of that population that is growing. So I think for me, that makes Africa already one of the most important markets that people need to begin paying attention to. Now, if we look at where we currently are in terms of our ability to create jobs as the continent, and I remember I gave a talk one day at Macquarie University, and I said our mission is to create about 300,000 work opportunities. And they laughed at me then, and they said, you need to dream higher, because we graduate more than that every year. If you want to do that in 5 years, then what's going to happen? So I was challenged to improve that. So we already don't have enough jobs for all the young people that we have in Uganda, in the continent. But that's not even the bigger risk for me. The bigger risk is that our capacity to create jobs is also limited. It's not growing as the demand for the jobs. But one thing that COVID taught us, and COVID was a great equalizer, it taught us that you can compete globally anywhere in the world from where you are, whether where you are is your bedroom, whether where you are is in your country, as long as you have a skill set that is solving people's problems, as long as you have a skill set that is adding value in new undiscovered ways than before, then the world will find you where you are. And it takes me down then to say, so where does that leave us in Uganda? Where does that leave, the country that we currently have? And then you can see the opportunities for talent. Meaning, if you have your skills, if you sharpen your skills, if you continue doubling down on what you want to do, the world can call it a gig, but your talent will be sought out from anywhere in the world. So we choose to see it from the context of the demand is there, of the skill. Do we have the supply, and can we level up the skill sets of the talent that we have to be competitive, not just at a Ugandan level, but also at a global level? So for me, there is nothing gig about it per se. It's more a very strategic viewpoint of building the future that we all want to live in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CK, for laying such a strong ground for us with numbers, because they never lie. Very, very helpful to the contribution. And I think it, helps me even set the next question for Bart, since he is I was doing some like homework, and I saw how he has incredibly contributed to the digital transformation sector. He has worked with so many companies, so many organizations in Africa and beyond. And I'm really curious now that CK has told us how the growth is there, how the development is there, what the future looks like, how we need to compete, not just on a national level or regional level, but Ugandan level. It now makes me, think about artificial intelligence that has, come up, and it keeps even advancing. So, but I would like you to tell us about, your thoughts when it comes to artificial intelligence, and, how it affects the freelancers that we are building, the people that are part of our community, because most people are saying that, these automations are taking up the tasks that freelancers initially do. And I'm sure it's most of us here. So in your opinion, do you think AI is a human replacement, or do you think it's an enabler?
Yeah, it's a very appropriate questions for me working at Enabel. I think it's an enabler. Let me first start with, there's every year Gartner is producing like a hype circle of emerging technologies. And in the past, they announced that blockchain would be a huge thing, or VR, or augmented reality, and so on and so forth. And sometimes these emerging technologies, they make it, they break through, or they don't. For example, 3-4 years ago, blockchain was the number 1 emerging technology, and today it didn't fully break through. But AI, I mean, that's a different story. For example, GPT was launched, and it is taken off tremendously. Yeah. To give you an example, for example, Facebook, I think it took 1 year to have like 1 million followers, or Instagram 7 months or something like that. Guess what? Chat GPT, it took 3 days to have 1 million followers. Meaning that this is a technology that, is of interest to a lot of people, and it has taken off really, really, really well. And as it happens, actually, I was last week at e-learning Africa in Rwanda, Kigali, and I attended a presentation on AI and Chat GPT, and it was actually the best presentation of e-learning Africa, according to me. And there's one quote that remains with me, and it is an answer to your question, actually. And it said, AI will not take over your job, but people who don't know how to use, or who do know how to use AI will take over your job. So I think this is a message for you people as freelancers, to really embrace AI, because it's really, really helpful. I know there's a lot of thoughts about that. It's about, the concerns are about plagiarism, or, you're cheating, or, they will take over your skills and jobs. But I don't think that is true. And since we are now talking about quotes, in the past, there's that quote from Newton. If I have seen further, it is because I was standing on the shoulders of giants. And I think for Africa, especially, like CK said, there's a huge opportunity to really leapfrog and make use of AI tools like Chat GPT to really embrace that in your work. And I think it is going to help you in terms of time management. You can ask these tools to really help you in your work to save time. And for you, it will allow you to do some higher order thinking and be more effective in your work. Next to that, I think by using those tools, you are really showing the future of work, that you are, embracing these tools, that you are working with these tools, and that you are actually leading the way, especially for Africa. That is, a huge opportunity to skip some development stages and start implementing that in your work. Because also these tools, AI tools, are data driven, and you can really support what you are doing with real data, that it is effective and more efficient, and then we have better results, let's say, in the work that you are doing. But to come back to your question, I don't think it will replace a human, a person, because those tools will never replace you, especially in terms of soft skills. As people, we have empathy, for example, or emotional intelligence that we apply to our work. We apply creativity, and we have inspiration. We are intuitive, more intuitive than any other digital tool. So that, I think, we will never be replaced by such a tool, but we have to embrace that. As you know, they say about Chat GPT, it is at this moment still hallucinating, meaning that it is not 100% correct. It is in its development stages at the moment. So there is a role also for you to guide, to mentor people, to apply critical thinking, to say, okay, this is correct, this is not correct, this is what we can apply, this is not what we can apply. So there's a role for you as people, as freelancers, but anyone in the workforce, to really make sense of these tools. And of course, I think the best part also is that as humans, we have social interaction, we build up relationships, and that can never be replaced by digital tools. So I think it's a huge opportunity for us to embrace these tools, but to remain critical and to apply it in an effective and efficient way. I hope I have answered. Yeah, I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, please. Thank you so much for sharing that. I hope it's it makes the listeners that we have here that we are worried feel good or better about the work they are doing. If my bosses were not here, I would have probably shared some of the things I do with AI, but my salary might be reduced. Yeah, but it is an enabler, like we have all heard. So let me just, proceed. So the people who just joined us, you found us in the middle of a conversation where we are trying to understand, how best we can contribute to, the gig economy, the different, aspects that are take a very critical, contribution to it. And the first topic that we are looking at is the rise of freelancing, and we've had different perspectives from our panelists, Mr. Bart and Mr. CK. And I'll have the last question go to CK on the first topic that we have. And basically, what I will ask is. We all very well know that the Innovation Village has been, very instrumental when it comes to supporting startups. There are so many programs that have been, led and successfully, by the way, under the Innovation Village, and most of us are beneficiaries of some of those programs. Myself, so I'm trying to understand with that model. With a model of supporting startups, supporting founders, from your perspective and maybe even your vision, how do you think it also aligns to now the gig economy? How can we build that kind of strong grounds and strong communities for freelancers? Because at least we know that most of the hubs in Uganda, really all of them care about just founders. But it's interesting that the Innovation Village has gone even deeper to now also care about individual talent. So thank you so much, CK, for having such a vision. And we would love to hear what you had in mind when the vision first came, to you to start the Freelancers Lounge, and maybe even give us a look into the future of it. What should people be excited about? Yeah, over to you.
Thanks, Sabrina, for your kind words. You're far too kind speaking about the Innovation Village like that. But I think from an entrepreneurial perspective, if you ask me to actually rate our success, I'd probably put it at 40%. There are so many things that we still need to achieve for the startup ecosystem that we haven't yet achieved, especially around the vision for the right or appropriate type of funding or financing for entrepreneurs. So that's part of what keeps me, up at night. But I think that's a conversation for another day. I think when it comes to freelancers, I like what Bart said, and I've always followed it too, that AI or technology will not take your job. As a matter of fact, we already don't have enough jobs in the market already. So are they going to take a job that you currently don't have? But the people who use AI or technology will definitely take your job. So I think that's part of a great equalizer to say, how do you level up your skills, your tech skills, your leadership skills, your communication skills, such that you're able to communicate as a leader around what is your competitive advantage and the things that you do better than anyone else. So we know, and I think for me, the Freelancers Lounge is also a part of my own personal story, because I like to tell the story. If you've not heard that, when I graduated from university, it took me 80 job applications to get my first job. And the closest I came to a job was with a government agency. We were 1,332. We went to Nambole to do 50 aptitude tests, 50 questions, 50 minutes. Those questions they ask and say a mango has fallen from the tree. Which direction is it facing, right? I still didn't get the job. I went back to my high school. I taught economics, I taught entrepreneurship, until a young person challenged me and said, "You're teaching us this entrepreneurship. Where have you practiced it?" And then I left the teaching job I moved into a consultancy, um, and in the consultancy, my boss gave me a job doing 17 hours a day, including weekends. Really, really intense. But it taught me one thing, that the world rotates around solutions. So that's the mindset I worked with, 17 hours a day, managed to take my career into joining Umeme as their head of talent, where my unfortunate job was saying up 700 job applications every month. And then eventually, after Umeme, I resigned. I think it was a stupid decision. Don't resign if you cannot survive long pain and long suffering. I resigned and I started the Innovation Village. Innovation Village has grown to be 5 incubators across the country, including Motive, which is East Africa's largest makerspace. And all of these things have happened in a space of less than 8 years. And it's not that I'm connected to anyone per se, it's that I decided to make this my 26-hour day job. So for me, that's the potential that any young person on the call has, that if you decide to put your head down and work, the world will reward you with the value. You give value, you'll get value back. Now, when it comes to the Freelancers Lounge, we are not necessarily looking at just a Ugandan play, but we're looking at knowing that, like I said, we will not be able to create enough jobs for all the young people that we have. But we can begin to improve the working environment for the young people, such that they can sharpen their skill sets. They can become better at sharing the value they can create with the world. So how do we improve the work, the freelance environment? And the things we're thinking about that we haven't yet begun working on is a freelancer for me, or a gigster, is an independent worker. But how do we create a workforce? How would you improve the environment for that workforce, for independent workers? And looking at things like, insurance, and those are part of the plans that we have, that if you're a freelancer now and you get sick and you don't have money, you go and mix some medicine and hope you get better. But how can we make sure that we improve the working environment of a freelancer by making sure they have insurance, whether it's life insurance, medical insurance, other forms of insurance, even when it comes down to professional indemnity, that if you've done work for Bart and one of his criteria is insurance, you're able to give him that. How do we ensure we're able to give access to support to equipment? They are freelancers who may be in content creation, the gigsters. How do you help you get a camera of $3,000 that will help you get down on your work, and you can pay over time? So how do we become business partners like that? Equipment, access to finance for freelancers to build out their propositions. And then how do we create also a community of freelancers such that you can partner when you are found to be doing things that are similar to each other, so you don't go at it alone. And then when it comes to the professional support, really it comes down to legal compliance, accounting support, and say, how can we help you get access to the basic compliance understanding to say, this is how you need to relate with the taxes. When URA knocks on your door, this is how you need to, some legal cover. How do you become a compliant entity and you're able to compete at a certain level? And then, of course, ultimately, we're looking to take this at a high level in terms of advocacy on policy. How do we protect, independent workers better? And our focus in doing this is that if we improve the environment that a freelancer can work in, then they're able to more confidently share their skills with the world, and then they can begin to grow And who knows, we can make this the other, official workplace for people based off the things that they love to do. And one of the things I've been passionate about, and now Bart, as a founder of the hub in Zambia, that if we build an African network of even hubs, right, that a freelancer can walk away from Uganda and walk into the hub in Lusaka that Bart founded, and is able to get same support here. You can work from Innovation Village, go to Outbox, go to iHub in Nairobi, and because you're a member of this community, you're able to get a plug and play type support. The entire objective, like I said, is that when the world is looking to the youngest workforce, that we will have supported this workforce to be knowledgeable, professional, competent, and enable them to be able to perform at a very, very high level. I think that's what we're really looking at in summary. I know right now we may start and we're playing with we're at the meetups, the networking, but for me, that's the vision that keeps me up at night when I think about the Freelancers Lounge. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm really glad that you spoke about this, because some of the people here who attend our sessions probably go back home saying, Sabrina talks a lot. So it's a pleasure that you have really, added your voice towards this. And I really would like to use this opportunity to invite anyone who hasn't joined the Freelancers Lounge community to do so right now. Just go on your browser and search for www.flx.africa. You will be led to join the community, and then you sign up and be part of us. And the interesting thing is that actually most of the things that you are talking about, we've already had an opportunity to experience them. We've engaged so far several legal experts who have come and helped, our freelancers in our community come up with, good strategies on how they can contract and negotiate, which are things usually the freelancers don't know about. And we are even lucky that the last monthly meetup, one of the speakers that we had even offered to give, pro bono services to help freelancers, under our community, get back their money, because one of the issues, Mr. CK and Bart, that freelancers usually have is that people have not appreciated them yet. They respect them. Even when they work for money that they rightfully deserve, someone will take the work. And because it's, like a digital, so if you ask me to design like an artwork, I will receive the artwork and use it. Yet at the same time, I won't even do what? Pay you, yet I've used it. So working with these different kinds of stakeholders at, the Freelancers Lounge allows us, or allows the freelancers that we have, to do better and, claim what rightfully deserves, belongs to them. So if you're part of us, if you've joined community, if you have anyone that has denied to give you your money, please make sure that you join our community. We now have our lawyers that are ready to go ahead and help you go to the small courts claim and claim for that money. As long as it's below 10 million, they can be able to claim it back for you. Yeah, so thank you so much, CK, for sharing that with us. So that marks the end of the topic, the first topic that we had, and we shall get into the second. After the topic, I will allow questions. Then I will get into the second part of the discussion as we close the day. So our next conversation and our next topic is around navigating the future of work. I understand that we have already, spoken a little bit about it from some of the submissions we've had, but I also think it's still very important for us to go a little bit deeper into it, specifically looking at skilling the future workforce. And skilling goes into some of the special packages that we give. We all know, for example, if you are working with developers, we already know that you have your skill of being a developer. But do you know how to yourself? Do you know how to use different technologies, different tools, different resources Do you know how to use artificial intelligence, how to automate and optimize your work to be more productive and efficient? And that's why we have partners like Craft Academy is kind of exactly how stakeholders like Enabel, I don't know if I pronounce Enabel poorly, be corrected, and so many others that you have worked with, for example, what are they doing? What put specifically to ensure that Ugandan freelancers possess the right skills to compete in the global marketplace. Over to you, Bart.
Yes, thank you. The internet is probably from my side not very good, but I'm going to try to answer your questions. As Enabel, the Belgian, so you pronounce it. Give me 2 seconds.
All right, no problem. Yeah, so as we wait for Bart, I got a report. Oh, okay.
The chicken in my garden are making too much noise. Sorry for that. So yeah. As Enabel, as the Belgian Development Agency, we are following strict procedures. We are working with your government, and it's not always easy in terms of, you have outdated curriculum in vocational training institutes, for example, but also in other national teacher training colleges. So there is a mismatch between the curricula or the things that are being taught in schools or in institutions and what the workforce actually or the businesses need. So as Enabel, we are trying to work together with the ministry to change policies or update curricula, but we don't need to wait for that. We are creating opportunities for skilling, especially in terms of like free e-learning courses that we develop with Ugandans and for Ugandans. And one example is the DES Academy. It's a digital entrepreneurship skills academy that we, together with other partners, have launched. And it's freely available on the internet. I can share the link with you. And the focus there is on, it has been said before, on hard skills, but especially on soft skills. So we are creating e-learning courses that are freely available to update your skilling. CK was mentioning Uganda is one of the most entrepreneurial countries in the world. And still businesses or small and medium enterprises are not, really lasting very long. There's a lot of failure, and they are not able to scale up. So this DES Academy is trying to guide entrepreneurs in making their business more sustainable. So what we did, and I know one of the participants here in the course was part of the DES Academy. He just messaged me. So what we are trying to do is really opening this up for all of the Ugandans to really upscale, especially the soft skills. And we did a first workshop on the promotion of the DES Academy, I think 3 weeks ago in Hoima. And we allowed people to go to the DES Academy and for 2 days to get a certificate And I have never, ever in my life seen people so motivated because they had access to the tools, computers, tablets, or mobile phones, and free internet. And they are really, really eager to learn, especially the soft skills. So, like I said in the beginning, there's a module on critical thinking, on emotional intelligence, on communication skills, on networking skills, which is all very, very important if you want to become an entrepreneur. And as Enabel, that is one of the things that we are trying to do. We also have a work readiness program, which is not geared towards freelancers necessarily, but there's a gap, like CK said. You have a degree or a diploma, and it takes you a long time to find a job. So we are trying to, put the private sector together with those people, those students that are having this the diploma, and to allow them to enter into the world of business. Because if you apply for a job, they ask like 5 years of experience for this and this and this, and of course you don't get that, in Uganda not, but also it's very difficult. So we are having different programs to try to accompany young people, to really assist them into finding a job, and or even create their own business.
Thank you very much. I think you've all heard. We were so glad that I attended the launch of the digital entrepreneurship academy launch on behalf of the Freelancers Lounge, and we are super excited to see how we can work together to support the freelancers that we have in our community, and also pick some of the freelancers, the people that you skill from your end, because what freelancing really means is that you have a skill and you can use this skill to earn money or get a job. So, Mr. Bart, if I reach out and I'm asking you to share some of the people you've worked with, please feel free to, support us, because we really like to work hand in hand together. I think that's what makes the future of, work more interesting. Yeah. So this is the last question.
I have shared the
Yes,
link.
please.
I have shared the link of the DES Academy in the chat, so you can just sign up for free and go through it at your own time and pace.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. So without wasting time, let's have the last question from the second last topic, and then I'll receive questions from 2 or 3 people, and then we get into the last bit of the conversation. So I have a question for CK. Which looks like it's a question that should have been for an insurance expert, someone who comes from insurance. But either way, I'll still ask him, because I know he's very experienced as an individual, and I know he's a very strategic person, and I believe that he will have the responses that can support you. So we all know that balancing work and personal life is a concern for so many freelancers. And we would like you to help us understand how freelancers can also build security, how they can be more secure, just like employers. We all know that for traditional employers, they know that at the end of the month, they have their salary that is going to, be put on their account. They know that they have a medical insurance that they can count on at the end of the day. So the worry is not that much. And maybe even depression and anxiety doesn't, become a big problem for them, like freelancers. So if you could please help us understand how our, freelancers can build on, security. How can they build, for example, a secure retirement plan? Since we are looking at the future, how can they navigate the different, current social security frameworks? How can they be more financially stable and secure? What tips have worked for you over the past years? Over to you, CK.
Yeah, thanks Sabrina for that question. I think it's closely related to what I alluded to earlier in terms of what's our plan for the freelancer community. And we're currently having conversations ourselves with various insurance companies that are able to back this community. And like I also said, we're looking at pathways to support access to finance initiatives, and most especially access to tools. Whether that the tool you need is a camera for a content creator or a laptop or whatever it is, and then also being able to offer access to various workspaces that you can work in anytime in any of the spaces Innovation Village owns or runs, as you can work in the spaces Outbox or Hive Collab or a Bongo Hive or iHub in another country owns. So a lot of the work we're doing is to fortify the community of freelancers to be able to access these things such that they can confidently begin to offer the services that they offer. I think really that's where the mindset is now. When it comes to your personal preparedness and mindset as a freelancer, this is really, really critical, because I'm going to say it this way: you are not as unlucky as someone who has a full-time job. Yeah, I'll repeat that. If you're a freelancer, you're not as unlucky as someone who has a full-time job, because we all want the guarantee and security that the full-time job brings, but the jobs go away, and the best you can do is look for another job. And even when you look for another job, you'll be working, and there's such a thing as a retirement age for people who are employed, or for people in the impact world when the program you're running ends. So I'm from that school of thought that it says we need to create the opportunities that we want to see ourselves. Create the job you want, be the talent that the world needs, and build security around that. There's nothing you're going to do to have the security that a person in a full-time job has, apart from being excellent about the services that you can offer. That brings security, but it's going to take a lot of mindset building, skill building, capacity building, confidence building, and the more confident we become, the more we understand that the safety and the security we're looking for is not in the job, but is in our ability to offer services. It's in our ability to compete. It's in our ability to offer value. That's where your safety can come from, and I need you to get your confidence from that versus looking at someone who's in a full-time job and all the perks, which perks can expire, is getting. If you build your own confidence and capacity, then you'll get more than the perks that these people who have full-time jobs get. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. You've all heard for yourselves. I can see people clapping. So make sure that the opportunity you want, you create it yourself, and, attack. I always see people on Mondays saying, attack the week, attack the month. So let's just do that for now. Yeah, so like I shared, I'll be receiving some questions from the audience. Oh, I see. Nathan already has his arm up. Okay, make sure that your question is very brief, ask in less than 40 seconds or 30 seconds so that we don't, lag behind. Over to you, Nathan.
So much. I may end up wrapping. Thank you so much, Bart and Japheth, for the wonderful presentation. My name is Nathan. I work with PwC, one of our consultants. I'm glad to join this. I've been invited by Andrew Tugume. Thank you so much. So I have a comment, but also I have a contribution, a question. So I'll begin the comment, just picking it from where about the security. that comes with working in employment. I can mention some, which includes like getting easily, in case one wants credit, you find in a job security, someone can easily get a bank a salary loan easily. But on the top of my head, I've been even thinking out loud for those in the space, on the freelancers, is I know it may have been there, having arrangements like savings groups where people consolidate funding and create a source from which, a pool from which the funds can be obtained. So I was just trying to feel like there's probably some suggestions I could have in mind. Nonetheless, keeping into the questions, I was trying to ask, this is both to Bart as well and Japheth. It's around sustainability in terms of freelancing. It feels as though it's a space where it's overdeal. Yeah, it's overdeal, whereby you have something today, but about tomorrow. I don't know what your mind is on how sustainability can be created in the space of the freelancers, in that there is a bit of to a high level of assurance of having sustainability in terms of revenue, to create that kind of known tomorrow for creatives. A disclaimer: I'm both a hybrid and I'm both a employed, but also I work. So thank you so much. Happy to get your comments. Thank you. Over.
Okay, thank you so much, Nathan, for your question. If I got it right, you're asking, thank you, first of all, for the ideas that you have shared, very interesting ones, and I'm sure that the listeners are keen and they are taking note. So the question is, how can freelancers create sustainability, something around that? So,
Yeah.
CK, you can go, and Bart, anyone who would like to go first.
I think Bart should go first, out of respect for Bart.
Why? Okay. I think it's the same with consultants, for example, and freelancers. It's very hard to work in that area, because you're never sure about what is coming next, or what job or what opportunities are coming next. I think what is very important is creating adding onto your CV, having valuable work opportunities, and the word of mouth, I think, is very important in this case in terms of promotion of the quality of your work. So make sure that you network and you communicate about the work that you have been doing and the quality of your work that has been doing. But I totally agree. It's and I'm talking from a perspective. I have a full-time job at an organization, and it's of course not valid for me, but I totally understand that this is a serious issue for you. But I would say, again, you build up your CV, network, participate in events, and communicate about the quality of your work. And the word of mouth is really doing wonders, I think.
Thank you so much for sharing. Over to you, CK.
Yeah, thanks, Bart, for sharing. And Nathan, I think I really come from a world of play where I encourage people to manage their expectations, because nothing in life is guaranteed, and nothing is also not going to come easily. So it's quite impossible for anyone to give you assurances of anything. And this is also if you have a full-time job. There's no guarantees that that job is going to be here forever. So for me, that's the foundation I'm operating from. Life is getting tighter, economy is getting tighter, and I'd just like to dig into some data here, especially from the latest tax information that we saw. that if you look at the text data between 2019 2020, the number of businesses that were making over 100 billion shillings and could pay taxes as much were 125, right? And 2022 2023, they fell from 125 to 6 businesses, 100 billion and above. Between 50 billion to 100 billion, 2019 2020, we had 130 businesses. And 2022 2023, they fell from 130 to just 3 businesses, and then between 10 billion to 50 billion, there were 871, and they fell to 63. Of course, the number of businesses below 50 million also increased in size. I guess my point is, don't work or begin to build your portfolio expecting guarantees, safety, assurances, because nobody can give you that. I mean, it just doesn't work like that. If you can see, even the number of businesses are reducing. Instead, you need to learn to develop a mindset where your work can speak for you. I'm sure you've seen all of these things in a movie, for example, where someone is living in a small village, and the FBI and the military and all cars, choppers, park to pick up this guy. They park to pick up this guy because of that skill set that person has. So there are no assurances. I think for me, develop an attitude of keep learning, keep discovering, keep sharpening your art, leverage technology, purpose to be the best in what you do. Stay humble, keep your head down. No assurances, but and then just keep learning and growing. Really, that's what's top of mind.
All right. Thank you so much, CK and Bart, for sharing that. And it's very interesting that the question Bart asked was the next topic that we were going to have around building a sustainable freelance career. And now we will just skip that and maybe even use that as an opportunity to ask more questions, because we've learned from the questions so far that one of the things we need to do as freelancers is leverage technology. Don't overpromise. Don't put your expectations way too high. Keep learning, make yourself more valuable. The valuable you are, the more the opportunities come to you. I don't know if some of you know Ivan Sewaje, who is our brand manager at the Freelancers Lounge. He has shared with us a couple of times, for people who have attended our sessions, that there are graphics designers that are going to work on the same piece of artwork at 50,000, and another graphics designer is going to work on that same artwork at 1,000 USD. The day he said that, for me, my perspective changed. It means that there's so much work we need to do as freelancers. If you're here listening in, build your value. Make sure that every time you're learning, the more you build it, the more even your value as an individual is recognized and appreciated by people. And then brand positioning as well, which is something Andrew, I believe, sings a lot so many times. Yes, I was over talking to get someone raise a hand, and I'm glad that Arapu Trevor is here with a question. Please make it brief. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I arrived a bit late. I'm sorry about that. I may have inconvenienced people, but I don't know whether you talked about this. I just wanted to also know that as a freelancer, you have the freedom to do so many other things, not just the things that you're working on. As like you don't have a job, you can jump up and down. But I was wondering, for example, like me, I'm a software developer. I work with a certain framework in JavaScript. But is it very which one? Okay, which one is better? for me to master my skill in JavaScript and just become a master as much as possible in that specific area? Or as a freelancer, is it better for me to like touch JavaScript, then I use Vue, Next.js, and go to PHP, and I just have a bit of everything. PHP, I have Next.js, I have let's say Angular, I have all these things, and then I know a bit of something everywhere instead of mastering one thing very well. Which one is better?
Thank you so much for sharing that. I believe that Bart will be excited to take this one on, and CK, feel free to jump in as well if you also have a contribution on that question. Over to you, Bart.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I understand the question very well, but your talent is in one specific area. That's what you're saying. But it wouldn't harm, of course, to broaden or to diversify your skill set, I think. So I would advise to keep on promoting yourself in that specific area. But in the meantime, keep on learning, keep on educating yourself to learn new skills in the digital space.
Thank you very much. CK, do we have any contribution, or we just go to the next?
I think we can go to the next part just quickly before an insight for me really is, and that's the beauty of knowledge, my people who are listening. Nobody is an expert in the things that you do, in the things you can do better than everybody else. So let's learn to have just a little bit more confidence in ourselves, or in what we know, right? Because you know what you do better than I know what you do. You know what you do better than Bart knows what you do. So the answer for what comes next in terms of what you do is only really going to come from two things. One, it's going to come from the marketplace. What is the marketplace asking you for? Listen to that very clearly. And it's going to also come from what you love to do. Now, if you're lucky to do the things that the marketplace is asking for, then you're in business. If the marketplace is asking for something else that you don't necessarily have skills in, then get those skills. But for me, I'm leaning towards that mindset of just be confident with, it's you who's doing this, it's you who knows the space, you know who the best in the world have done, learn from them, copy from them, and begin to own it and replicate. Nobody can tell you. I think this is almost connected to the days where your father is the one who told you, you study to become a lawyer or study to become a doctor. And then procurement came in as a new course, and everybody was saying, you need to be a procurement manager. I think for me, we're now learning skills of the future, and it's really up to you to say, where do you choose to be most competitive at, and why there? And then go and work every day to be the best at that place. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. The last monthly meetup that we had this very interesting question from one of the attendees who said that for freelancers, you really want to be all over the place. And, most times people say being all over the place is a bad thing. So this lady was asking, how can I be good at being all over the place? Because I'm skilled with like different skills. I'm a producer, I'm a DJ, I'm a designer, I'm a product manager, and I don't want to let go any of these. So how can I be good at so many of these? So Michael Nyitegeka, one of our panelists, the director for Refactory, responded and said that, you see, we all have 24 hours in a day. And you want to make sure that whatever you can take on, you're very good at it, which is not very far from what our panelists have shared. So if you're to take on a challenge, make sure that you're taking it on and you're going to be good at it. like you did not even have like all the other extra jobs. Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing. This is very interesting and insightful. Yeah, so our third topic was rotating around building a sustainable freelance career, which luckily enough has already been discussed from the different segments that we've talked about, the questions that were brought up, and everything. So now let's just go to our very last topic, and the people who have other questions, we will save them for after. So, in our last topic of this panel discussion, I think it's very interesting for us to break down the impact of freelancing on the global economy and the Ugandan economy. Yeah. I think it's very interesting. It's very important for us to break down for so many reasons. Like I've shared earlier in the introduction, there's sort of like that kind of detachment from different, contributors or different potential contributors. Many companies, many organizations, agencies do not think that they have a role to take when it comes to the gig economy. They don't think that they have, a mandate to care about this future of work, which I believe is very wrong. Because if these companies, for example, embraced gigsters that we have, most of them would not even labor on so many things that are temporary, because they can just get like talent to do that for just like one day and that's it. Like, I think it would be so easy with creativity and the like. So I'm curious to hear from our experienced panelists who are very knowledgeable and resourceful to share with us what they think would be ideal when it comes to engagement, to the engagement of these different kinds of stakeholders. For Bart, I'm curious to understand from your management expertise, as you have worked with international development, agencies like Enabel, what specific, initiatives are underway, or what opportunities can be tapped into. There might be no initiatives at the moment, but I think it would be very helpful if you can share with us what you think is an opportunity for an agency like Enable. What can these freelancers look up to tap into under the agencies that you have worked with? And for CK, we all know that you are a dot connector who is doing everything you can, having sleepless nights to shape the innovation, creative, and entrepreneurship ecosystem. And with that, I believe that you have worked with various stakeholders at all levels. So what role can the government and other stakeholders you've worked with play in supporting the growth of a thriving freelance ecosystem? Feel free to talk about policy, feel free to talk about, regulations, feel free to talk about issues to do with funding and accessibility and global competitiveness, anything really. Yeah, over to you. Oh, okay. Over to you, Bart.
Okay, thank you. I think as the Belgian Development Agency, we are actually often procuring freelancers for specific events, whether it is graphic design or photographers or people that can design learning materials, for example, of that. But I think we don't know. We have to follow official procedures, and so we do a procurement, we launch the bid, and then we send it to people. But we don't have a specific database of freelancers, of people that are working in the area. So we are constantly, fishing in the same pool. So I think that is something that we need to work upon, and I that's why I was eager to be part of this meeting. We need more details about or a database about freelancers and their skills, so we can send that to them, because at the moment we don't have that. So we are constantly fishing in the same pool, having the same people doing the job, and they are doing it well. But it would be very helpful if we have like a platform where we can, maybe that platform is there, but we don't know about it, and that is our fault probably. But it would be helpful that we can, extend our procurement and have different people to make use of their skills.
Thank you so much. This is very interesting. If I was in a casual conversation with my friends, I would have said something like, say no more, say no more. But this isn't. Yeah, so the good news is that the Freelancers Lounge, the last meetup actually, we put up a call, a community showcase call, and we are still receiving submissions from different community members. And the goal for that community showcase call is to, identify freelancers out there who think they have valuable skills that companies or organizations want. And we are already working out a profiling pipeline, which we will be very happy to share with agencies and companies like Enabel. So I'm sure very soon that's not something that you're going to worry about. And if you're a freelancer here, if you're not part of the Freelancers Lounge community, I'm so sorry, but you're going to probably miss out on being part of that pipeline that we are putting together with Craft Academy. So we go through the skilling, sessions that we've been having, and from there we have a standard performance a specification that if you fit into it and qualify, you can be vetted, and then you be added to our, profiling and a platform which we shall launch very soon. So if you're here and you would like to benefit from such kinds of opportunities, do well to go to www.flx.africa to enjoy some of these benefits and be added to our profiling list, to be easily attached or connected to companies like Enabel. Over to you, CK.
Thanks, Sabrina. And I think the question you asked was mostly in relation to what other ecosystem players can do, whether it's government, other agencies, to create that enabling environment. And of course, there's much more that can be done and should be done. But I look at life from this thing they say, circle of concern and circle of influence, meaning you can either concern yourself about what everyone else should do to enable you have the things you need in your life, or you can operate from the circle of influence in terms of what can you influence as you work towards the other things. So for example, if you've listened very carefully to what Bart has said, they work with freelancers, they also just don't know where to find them. So for me, if I was a freelancer, what I'd be looking at is what type of checklist or criteria do they follow to be able to say, this is the guy we will work with. And then do everything in my power to upgrade, to get my skill set, to get my portfolio, to get my level of capacity to the extent where Enabel is happy to say, here is a contract for the Western region, or for Central, or for even Uganda. Believe me, they're not going to necessarily come and inspect everything that you make, but you just have to follow the criteria that they followed for you to be able to qualify for to be the person they are calling on to be able to do this work. So my encouragement is, let's focus and double click on our circle of influence. What can you do where you are with what you have to meet the criteria of the 5-10 things that are on Enabel's list, such that they're able to call on you and be able to give you that work? As you continue to do that, you'll find that everybody else who, if you meet Enabel's criteria, then you'll be able to meet perhaps 9 out of 10 similar criteria in other institutions, and then you begin to build from there. That's what we have influence on, and that's what I'd encourage us to really double down on and try to improve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CK, for sharing that. Do we have any question? I see questions. I see we have 20 minutes to end the call. So in case there are any questions, please feel free to raise your hand and I'll pick you on. But as we wait to do that, I have one general question that goes to both CK and Bart. That I would like them to help us understand and appreciate. So one thing that makes entrepreneurs and startups very unique is that they build for others. Yeah. So it's very easy for startups, it's very easy for founders to pitch for funds and pitch for investment because they are able to show a problem that they are trying to solve and they are able to show the solution to that problem. However, for freelancers, these are kinds of people who are very unique. They have a skill, that's what they have to like put on the table. So how can we also sort of like package freelancers or the gig economy to appear like it's not a personal, like it's not only like a personal gain or a personal benefit, but to also appear like it actually contributes a lot to our economy. It contributes a lot to our growth. For me, I think one of the things that really lag our countries behind is that we have like so many dependency levels. The dependency rates are so high, and we have so many youths that are so unemployed, and that comes with so many problems. So for me, when I look at the future of work, when I look at all these skilling, capacity building programs we are having, I look at it as potential, but it's something not yet appreciated. So if we can hear what your opinions are, I think it would be incredibly good, and maybe it will help the freelancers also know how to put themselves out there to look like they are also adding to value that impacts everyone else in the country. Over to you, Bart, and then CK. If there's no question, or if the questions are in the comment section, I'll read them out, and if they are not there, we'll just start giving our parting shots. Yeah, over to you, Bart.
Yeah, I think the gig economy is something relatively new in Uganda. But if we look in in Africa or in Europe, this is a huge thing, So if like platforms like this promote themselves as a valuable contribution to the economic development of Uganda, I think it will totally make sense, because I think it's all already happening ad hoc at individual basis, but there's no or not yet, or it's just starting, like a real coordination. And I think CK and other hub managers or Startup Uganda can play a crucial role in promoting what you are doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Over to you, CK.
Sorry, Sabrina, I think I missed the question.
Right. So the question was that we are having
Hello? I think you're on mute, Sabrina.
I'm also not hearing anything.
Yeah, I can see she's on mute. Hello?
I see she's on mute, but I think I can help her re-echo the question. So she was talking about how entrepreneurs can easily get funding and support because they build their products and solutions against investors. They know who they are building for and why they are building. So she was asking, is there the same opportunity for the entrepreneurs as freelancers in the ecosystem?
Yes. I think for me, funding is another big one for the ecosystem, and also a very big gap. And I think it was yesterday I just sent out a tweet that said, or a post, they call them now, that said, dear entrepreneur, you do not have to raise funding, you know. And I say that's the end of really my contribution, because the bigger gap we have with funding now is we see that a lot of venture capital, for example, when it comes into the market, and that's why you can see all the way from Ghana. I think there's a company there called Dash or something like that. It raised $80 million and still closed. If you come down to Nairobi, you know, Copia is in administration, Market Force closed. You know, Twiga had its issues of the CEO being fired. And you can mention so many companies. Sandy itself, you know, shut down Uganda operations and so many markets. And these are companies, all of which have raised $60 million upwards, you know, in a space of less than 3 years. Now, we don't have such a company in Kampala that has raised that much. So when I'm thinking about funding, the question I normally ask myself, is my aspiration, or is our aspiration, to build an ecosystem like where those companies are, or is it to try and build a different ecosystem where we can support more sustainability and strengthen the entrepreneurs by building, you know, a stronger ecosystem around them? I think a big gap is that people look at funding, and you raise funding to raise funding to raise funding, and people have an idea that doesn't have a problem, and they start looking for funding for that. My advice now when it comes to funding is really, you know, build a small, boring business that works, that is able to generate revenue, that is able to solve customer problems, that is able to create value in new undiscovered ways, and be sure that's how you're getting your customers, because then you'll have more sustainable funding versus building an idea and then looking for funding. Now, as you build for customers and they are your first check, or they are your first confidence, then the investors will come, and their role will only be able to help you get more customers, not how funding works in the more mature ecosystems, where you get funding because your idea is good. Now, what typically happens here, because of the size of market, because of the milestones investors are looking for, investors will commit to you and say, yes, we're happy to write you a check. After they begin looking and seeing that you're not able to hit the milestones because of the size of market, then a number of them begin to pull out. That's what happens to all of these companies that are struggling. So my advice is really build a business that works, solves problems, that is capturing, you know, market, and then it's just like the freelancer. Let your work speak for itself. Let your portfolio be the one that is attracting people into into your space to work with them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's very, very insightful. There's a book I read a couple of years ago and it was talking about how our expansion sometimes is overrated and how we should be able to define our own success. So sometimes we really are, like how they say there's peer pressure, even in businesses, even in even in work. There's kind of like those pressures, and sometimes we jump on them when we are not ready. So be ready to know how to define your own success as a freelancer, just like we've been guided, and I think all will be well. Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing that, CK. Very unpopular opinions, and if you hear them from accomplished men, be well to know that they are actually points that matter. Yeah, so I'm seeing Nathan has a question, but I won't take it because he had already asked. I see we have only 10 minutes to end our call, and I would like to have our speakers give their parting shots. But if Andrew later on allows me to take Nathan's question, maybe I'll take it. But for now, I would really love us to get the parting shots from Bart and CK, and then we call it a day. Over to you, Bart.
Yeah, I found it a very interesting meeting actually, and it made me realize, as in the Belgian Development Agency, like I said in the beginning, it's untapped territory for us. So I would say that you harmonize the things that you are doing, so we can easily or more easily access freelancers in the different areas where we work, because we really need you. We are doing this, like I said, but we don't have a real connect or database where we can connect with you. So it would be really, really good that you get organized, and maybe it's something that Startup Uganda can also take up to really promote the work that you are doing. So it would be very, very helpful for Enabel to really have access to this, and I think it has huge potential for the future of work in Uganda. So continue what you are doing this month, and thank you for inviting me for this workshop or event.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure and honor to have you. And we will do well to make sure that the conversations don't stop here, so that we actually put them in practice. Thank you so much for making time. Over to you, CK.
Well, thanks, Sabrina, for hosting such a very interesting conversation. And again, for me, I'd just like to thank everybody who joined the call. I see we've been consistent in terms of the numbers of people who joined and stayed on the call. So thank you very much for everybody who joined, and also our friends from Craft Academy. Thanks for the support and the partnership. We look forward to deepening it to create more value for the ecosystem. Also to thank Bart for joining the conversation and being part of our engagement. For me, I'd like to end from where I started. About the world's workforce going to come from this continent, and Uganda is the second youngest population in the world, which means one of the youngest on the continent. And people have talked a lot about talent. Some people even say that talent is the new oil. So I just encourage and invite each of you to make sure that by the time the world is looking for the best talented people across the scope of fields of work, you are one of the people they are calling on for the support that they need. So be the talent the world is looking for, really. And for us, from the work we're doing with the young people, whether it's Innovation Village, Motive, the Lounge, we're committed to contributing the best we can in making sure we're supporting you on your journeys as you move along. But thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to have you on the call. Thank you for the insights, for the knowledge that you have shared. I believe that the listeners took note. I have a question in the comment section that is a little bit general, which I believe I can take on. Okay. We have Edward, and I think even he's the community manager. I believe he'll just take on the question as he's saying what he's saying. Over to you, Edward.
Thanks, Sabrina. Though I did not loop in response to that question, but as well just to associate myself with the submissions of Bart and CK, and to re-emphasize that we are going to drive the flow of capital to Africa by way of freelancing, because this vision gets clearer, especially the more founders shares on it, the clearer it becomes every single time. So I want to reemphasize, I want to encourage every freelancer that is on the call to continue being a part of the community, and especially this very month when we are going to be able to reinvigorate and drive a lot of energy to this conversation. I want to encourage participation from all the different organizations that anyone else could be on the call. And I wanted to particularly ask for Andrew, Sabrina, through you, to be able to take us through what will be happening within this month. Yes, thank you. That's my submission, Sabrina.
All right. Thank you so much. I will hand over to Andrew right after answering this question. I believe he's the best person to give us, a framework of what this month is going to be looking like. So someone, Kamali Innocent, is asking, thank you for the presentation. However, I would like to know how, no. I think it was Commander Collins who was asking how they can join the Innovation Village. I'm answering this because I was also a beneficiary of the Innovation Village a year or 2 years ago. And I don't think there's really a strict structure on how you can benefit from the programs. I always tell people, just follow the Innovation Village on social media handles, check out the website. It's there. Just search the Innovation Village. You will find different links or that take you to how to join the different communities that you're attracted to. But mostly be on the lookout on social media, because programs are always posted there. And there's always registration links on how you can join the different programs that you find are relevant to you and your sector. And the beauty of signing even for just one is that you're added to the, emailing database. So any other opportunities that come about, you will always get them from from your email. But also feel free to come at the Innovation Village. Edward is our community manager. I'm sure he will love to talk to you if you come. Yeah, so that's it really. Thank you everyone for joining us for this panel discussion. The conclusion really is that the Uganda's freelancing landscape is brimming with potential, like we have seen, and it is very important for us to, foster a supportive ecosystem that equips freelancers with the necessary skills, the resources, the safety nets that they need. And that's exactly why the Freelancers Lounge is there. So I really call upon all of you to join us. I can see Andrew has shared the link to our WhatsApp group. Join our WhatsApp group for instant communications. Follow us on Twitter. It is FLX Africa at FLX Africa. Then also join the community from our platform. And that's it. We'll be excited to have you in all our sessions. Thank you for having me as your host. I had fun. Over to you, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you, Sabrina. I think since it's already time, I have 30 seconds. I'm going to use those ones. Yeah, so the whole month is power-packed and I think we've started in style. It's been designed to help you in every aspect of your work, business-wise, expertise-wise, and then of course things to do with administration. For these 4 weeks, it's a buffet, self-service, but I would urge you to eat all food. People know what I mean when I say all food. So we had today, which was beautiful. Tomorrow we have a session on freelance business models, which is quite technical, but also good in its own way. It's going to be facilitated by Mr. Kangonda Rogers. He's a venture associate at PIV. He's ready, he's warming up. We have Daniel Chaudhry on Wednesday. We'll be talking about selling. He's the sales guru in the nation, selling for freelancers who hate selling. We have something for mothers who want to, mothers and women who want to tap into independent work, working from home, gigs. We put that because of demand. So many women, when they get pregnant, they have a dead year or 2 years, but with freelancing, it's something they can benefit from. And the next weeks are also going to be power packed. We are having people from Europe. Week 3 really is going to be loaded with people from Europe who have experienced freelance at the highest degree. I think everyone who registered for this call, if you didn't crash the party, you have access to a document which has the whole program for the month. There are so many people. You can check them out there. Then also, if you register, you have access to a survey for freelance. So you check your invite. It is going to have everything. If you haven't registered, you register. You're going to have access to everything. Yeah, thank you so much. Time. And same link. It's the same link for the whole month. Same time, same link, Monday to Friday. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, FLXers.